Hi, Chris Chinnock here for the 8K monitor. Just back from CES. Wanted to give you kind of a summary of the basically the 8K news from CES. So one thing that kind of struck me at the very top here is how all the major TV brands talk about making the TV the center of the home universe, right? They want to make it the place where you talk to your appliances, you manage your home up network and devices. You use it for media and entertainment. You use it for telemedicine. You use it for health and fitness. You use it for gaming. It's the hub and the portal for your life. Yet at CES, the presence of TVs has clearly gone down over the years. They are not the most dominant feature in the booth anymore by a mile. So that's an interesting conundrum. So specifically in 8K TVs, I think Samsung doubled down on their 8K TV strategy, I would say, this year. Specifically, they added a new menu item for YouTube TV. So 8K TV owners could just click on that and watch 8K content from YouTube, some of which is professionally made, some, of course, is user generated. They've also purchased some independent 8K video content and have started a program for the ambient mode where users can use NFTs to buy artwork or images in 8K to put up on their TV when they're not watching movies or TV shows. TCL also had some really nice looking 8K TVs in their booth. Several 8K versions, one the OD0 version, very high luminance, mini LED backlight, super thin, that is available in, I think it's available in China now, but will be coming to the US probably soon. They had a 480 hertz 8K version as well, which still needs a little bit of work. But most impressive was a 65-inch inkjet printed 8K TV that's OLED that looked wonderful. They do want to commercialize that, but they're going to have to develop a fab in conjunction with JOLED. JOLED has developed their own inkjet printing machine to do that, but it's going to take some investment to have that fab, of course. Hisense showed their TV line. They highlighted a 110-inch 8K model, but they were not very clear about what new 8K TVs will be coming this year. They said their 75-inch will continue in the US, but they made no specific further announcements in that regard. LG was pretty hot with their wireless TV. That's a 4K device, but they also were showing their 88-inch OLED 8K TVs, but again, not very specific on what's going to happen with those models. It seems like those OLED TVs will probably get the new enhancements of the G3 line, the micro lens array, which can be used to boost luminance, but can also be used to reduce power consumption as perhaps a strategy for meeting the EU regulations. And I'm sure we'll get the newest processor. So I think those will continue, but it looks like they're probably going to discontinue or certainly down emphasize the LCD 8K models. Sharp's going to re-enter the US market. They've been out for a while, but they will re-enter. They do have 8K TVs, but in the products that they showed at CES, they will probably not introduce 8K into the US. They only showed 4K models. They've got a mini LED backlight line and new OLED line, but again, no 8K for them. So speaking of EU regulations, some of you may know that in March, new energy restrictions go into place that could make selling of 8K TVs quite difficult because of the restrictive energy use. So some brands are probably going to drop out of the market. TCL says they are going to drop their 8K TVs because of this. But some other brands may continue, and the strategy for doing that is to implement a low luminance mode in the TV that will have low power consumption and so meet the regulations. It's a little unclear which brands will do that. Samsung says they'll have more news later in February. I haven't gotten a clear comment from LG on that. I think Sony is already doing that. So I think that story is still evolving, so not much I can report on that. There were some other actually kind of interesting side trends, if you will. 8K is still showing up in other devices. So, for example, Brilliant is showing a wide aspect ratio, 8K by 2K. I think it's about 120-degree field of view display. It's kind of a customized display, but it's going to go to an 8K panel. And an 8K by 2K panel was also introduced by Samsung as a gaming monitor, a curved panel. So that's an interesting resolution in 32 by 9. That seems to be getting some traction. A company called Displace introduced a wireless TV that's also vacuum mounted to the wall. They're starting with a 55-inch 4K OLED, but part of their plan is to try to sell consumers 4 of them so you can gang them together in basically an 8K video wall for the consumer. So also kind of interesting. Demenco has shown and did show again an 8K super multi-view display that's eye-tracked to create a 3D image that looks really good when you have an 8K panel. The other kind of interest and the other interesting trend I think here was also wireless TV. That became a thing here at CES this year. So I mentioned the LG wireless TV. They didn't talk about the protocol they're using for the communication for the wireless, but they did say it had to be line of sight. That could be some form of optical, but it could also be a millimeter wave 5G connection, which would not be surprising. And I was told it probably can support 8K if they want to go to that extreme down the road. I mentioned Displace and their wireless TV. They're using Wi-Fi, and they say they can actually support 6 4K TVs through their base station right now, and they're working to expand that for 8K TVs. So obviously 4 4K TVs is 8K, so there's plenty of capacity in that. I also met with Intopix. They're a codec encoding company, really a codec developer. They have this profile for their TICO codec called FIP, and they've demonstrated that you can stream a 8K 60 444 video over a wireless network, a Wi-Fi network, at less than 1 gigabit. Now it is compressed, but it's a mild compression, so that's pretty impressive. And I also saw Synaptics is using the DisplayLink codec, which is kind of an adaptive codec that can be adapted to optimize text, static images, or video. And they were showing the transfer of that to 2 4K displays. But they said it can also support 8K displays as well. Now they're more focused on the desktop market, and Intopix more focused on the broadcast market. But this just shows that there's lots of ways to stream 8K content wirelessly out there, and people are starting to think about this. So that's pretty much the story from CES this year. Chris Chinnock for the 8K Monitor.